It's time to dive beneath the surface and into the minds and hearts of your favorite celebrities and pop culture icons. Welcome to Up and Adam.
Hey, guys, welcome back. Look who we have here.
Hey,
What's
everybody.
up?
Huh?
I said, how are you?
I'm well. How are you, dear?
I'm good, man. I'm so excited to have you back as always. It's always a pleasure. And today, it's not, I mean, people know you for Real Housewives of Potomac, but this is probably, well, is this our third or our fourth Atlanta?
I think maybe fourth.
Maybe fourth?
Maybe
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So what did you think of the episode before we jump in and start recapping it?
I enjoyed this episode. I thought it was pretty fun and light compared to the previous episodes. And I enjoyed it. I don't want to get too far into it and why I enjoyed it until we go over
Start recapping it?
Yeah.
All right. Guys, if you haven't already, go ahead and hit that like button. Let's show some love for us and RJ. And yeah, let's jump right into it. So RJ, this episode, I mean, it starts with some B-roll for Less is More by Kenya and Drew Sidora and her husband teaching their kid how to ride a bicycle. But with that aside, let's skip the B-roll and go straight into Cynthia Bailey and her unrealistic expectations of her wedding. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason I say that is because Cynthia is obviously a public figure. She's been on the Real Housewives of Atlanta for a long time now. So she invites, along with her soon-to-be husband, which is now her husband, she invites over 250 people to her wedding. And then she's talking to her husband and she's like, Mike, we have a problem. I thought that only 50 were going to show up, 50 for you and 50 for me, making that 100. But we've already confirmed 167. And he's like, why would you think that? Especially if he invited 250.
Right.
Is this not a little ridiculous to you?
I think that it is. It's unrealistic. Like you said, being as though she's a public figure, she was known way before the Housewives. She was a model, very successful model. Come on, Cynthia, you know more than 50 people for you and 50 people for your husband. Are they married? Yeah, they're married. So, yeah, 50 people for your husband. Come on now. Come on. You don't get over that.
Yeah. And I mean, she's like, well, I thought because of COVID's not going to kill that wedding. He works for the NFL and she's a Real Housewives of Atlanta or a Real Housewife of Atlanta. There's no way.
I think maybe she had to know that wouldn't be the truth. I think she probably said that and tried to be and played ditzy right then and there. She played ditzy knowing that wasn't true. And she probably did it for the show because there's no way that she could have thought that.
Okay. No, that's fair. And I do want to point out the fact that Mike is adamant about inviting Porsha's ex, Dennis, and we're going to jump into Porsha and her feelings about Dennis in a little bit, but now Cynthia has to bring this back over to Porsha and be like, hey, look, Mike wants to invite Dennis, And Mike did make a good point, but I wanted to ask your opinion about this. Cynthia's struggling with a lot of people that she's inviting.
Hold on, Adam. I can't hear you. Hold on.
Technical difficulties, guys. 1 second. Let's see who's all in the room really quick. And guys, go ahead and hit that like button. JC Bear. Hi, JC Bear. Hermione. Queen B. Nice to see you guys. Perlita. Always love. Candy. Not paid by Monique. Always great to see you. Marcella. Hi, welcome back. Santivia. All right.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
There we go. Yeah.
All right. So no, I was just saying that Cynthia is struggling right now with who she's inviting, especially when it comes down to her dad, who she doesn't have the best relationship with at this point, and also Dennis. But Mike makes a great point. He's like, who are we worried about in this wedding? We should just be worrying about ourselves. If people want to come, they come. Otherwise, I don't think we should be struggling to feel like we're appeasing everybody else on our special day.
I feel like I have to side with Cynthia on this. I would be cautious about who I invite and the interactions with people that may not like each other. I'm that person too. I would be like, well, I don't think I should invite this person because of this. And you don't want to have any worries. At least for me, I'm saying it in like it's general, but for me, I don't want to have to worry about whether this person or this person is going to be shady to each other, or if they're not going to be cordial with each other on my day. I want my
Right.
day to be perfect. Every person for the most part would want their wedding day to be amazing and to go off without a hitch. So I would definitely be kind of like Cynthia on that. Not just, letting people just come.
No, and I actually agree with you. And guys, again, if you haven't already, hit that like button. But I agree with you because my brother just recently went to a wedding about a year ago that his ex-girlfriend of a few years was at.
Yeah.
And his former best friend was sitting there hitting on his ex-girlfriend. So my brother and this guy end up dragging each other outside in this beautiful venue, getting into a fight, ruining the wedding. The parents who paid all of this money for the wedding were so embarrassed and like mortified that they spent all of this money. So I think that honestly, yeah, you have to be careful with who you invite,
Yeah.
because if you have a bunch of people who don't want to be around each other, you don't want to worry about them ruining your special day, especially for Cynthia and Mike. I'm sure it's not a cheap wedding.
Right. Exactly. I mean, I totally agree. Stuff like that happens. Like you could just type it in on YouTube with weddings and stuff like that happens. And you have to really be careful. And I am definitely siding with Cynthia on this one. I'm totally that person as well.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I do want to move on though next because we see Drew Sidora and her husband Ralph in this episode, and we haven't been getting a whole lot of them.
Yeah.
I know that she had to quarantine, so that's why she wasn't at the Candy Cares event, but we get to see this vulnerable side because unfortunately Ralph's father just recently passed away. Well, by the time they were filming this, and they take a moment and they talk about it, and then they go outside and they release balloons for his father's honor. I just thought there was a moment where Drew Sidora made a statement saying, marriage is tough. It's like you can't just love somebody when they're amazing. You have to love them when they're amazing, when they're down, when they're out, when they look their ugliest, when they're at their worst, and everything in between. And that kind of caught me because I was like, yeah, that's true. I'm not technically married, but I have a fiance, right? We've been together for 7 years and he's seen some ridiculous sides of me and vice versa. But we've also had the best times ever. And it's so crazy because anyone who ever says that they have a perfect marriage, please, I'm going to put surveillance on you and find your moment of weakness. Okay. You don't have a perfect marriage. I don't think it exists.
No.
Can you think of anybody that you know that comes to mind that would be even close to a perfect marriage?
No.
Really?
No. Every marriage goes through something, some sort of turbulence every once in a while. Every marriage, and I really loved that scene because I really got to see the man who Drew fell in love with. I really felt like the audience got a glimpse of that. And he apologized to her and he was just so sweet, so kind. And this is what I was waiting for. This was one of those moments that I enjoyed. I was just like, wow, like he has it in him. But, sometimes it takes a death to change people for the better. And it sucks. But sometimes that's what it is in life, And I just feel like his father's death really made him think about a lot of things, especially his marriage. And he seemed like he really was genuine and wanted to make it work again. And I could feel the love. I could feel the connection and the chemistry. I was like, okay, so this is what she was talking about. So I love that scene.
Right. Okay. Well, I know Marcella hits close to home for you. And Marcella said, Drew is boring and he seems arrogant. Ah! So, Marcella, thanks for speaking out. We appreciate you.
No. Oh my gosh. No.
Marcella hasn't had her coffee this morning.
I don't agree with that, Marcella. But it's fine. We agree to disagree all the time.
Well, and she also said there is no perfect marriage. We all are imperfect people. Right. And I agree with that.
Right. You accept your partner, flaws and all.
I agree with that. All right. So moving on, guys. Again, if you haven't already, go ahead, hit that like button, show some love. But I do want to talk about Cynthia's daughter, Noelle. Beautiful. So Noelle has left the nest and gone to LA. She's obviously now portrayed as an influencer. She has 25,000 subscribers or something like that on YouTube. So she's building her YouTube. and she is now a brand ambassador on Instagram for, I guess, major beauty lines is what Cynthia's selling it as.
Yeah.
But in all fairness to Noelle, good for you, you know, because Noelle's living in her extremely nice Los Angeles apartment. She's doing it on her own. She's making her YouTube makeup tutorial videos. She's a brand ambassador, kind of making her own money, and who knows what her parents actually contribute. But I was reading in the blogs and reading some comments from this episode, and people are like, oh, well, Noelle would never have these opportunities if it wasn't for her mom. And this just goes back to the same thing that we were talking about with Candy and Riley. It's like asking, is Riley spoiled? I think, honestly, you have to look at it from a different perspective. Cynthia fought her way through the industry, did it before social media, was an amazing model, kind of had to climb, like she had to do the climb. And now she puts herself every year on a platform where she has to be vulnerable. She's shared her divorce, her marriage, the ugly and the good, like we just talked about. And she's kind of paved that way. So if Noelle gets to reap the benefits of that, that's exactly why Cynthia was doing it.
Right. I don't understand. I understand why people say, why are you why are the parents spoiling the kids and giving them things and blah, blah, blah. I don't see anything wrong with that. If you can, kind of create your way and become successful, why wouldn't you want to give your kids the best? It's just like, but that's just my opinion. I could see the other side of that too, but I would be the type of parent that would be like, okay, I worked this hard to make my child's life better. And yes, you don't have to overdo it, but of course I'm going to make sure that my child is Gucci. I'm going to make sure that my child, if they go to a different state to go to school or whatever, that they're going to be good. They're not going to have to worry. They're not going to have to struggle. Why wouldn't I?
Well, and it also makes sense too, because it's like, even if, so say Cynthia and her dad are not paying her bills, if she just even has this platform because of who her mom is, that she's still working. She's still doing the brand ambassador, making the posts, making the videos on YouTube, which does take a lot of time and effort. So for Noelle, I honestly, I'm not against it. And also for anybody who doesn't remember, Noelle put herself out there and shared.
It happened again.
Oh, you want me to drop you down? Are you good?
Hold on.
Guys, I'm going to... Oh. Better? Is it better? One second, technical difficulties for RJ. But guys, I'm just going to keep talking about this for a second, because for anybody who doesn't remember, Noelle also put her story out there about how she is a part of the LGBTQ plus community. She went to Pride in New York and she was a part of the float, and she shared her own story too. So for people to just rip her apart and be like, you're so spoiled, you get to live in LA, the only reason you have followers is because of your mom, I think that we're just not being as fair. Are you back?
Yeah, it's okay. So I have the new iPhone, right? The alarm keeps coming on, and every time it comes on, it cuts off the sound. And I'm just like, I turned it off, but I think it's really off this time. But I pressed off and it keeps going. I don't know why.
You're all right. You're all right. But I wanted to before we move on, you watched this episode too. I kind of felt bad for Cynthia because Cynthia has one baby, and that is Noelle. And you can tell she was getting that empty nest syndrome. Noelle's like, Mom, I'm coming for 14 days. And she's like, 14 days? What's that? She's like, I have to get back for work. And Cynthia's like, oh, you're all grown up. And you see, it's like starting to hit her. But at the same time of closing that chapter of having your child there all the time, she's about to have this full-time husband. So I think it's about a little bit of a balance.
I mean, I think that no matter what you do in life, no matter who you get with, your babies are your babies. And, you spend most of your time, obviously, raising them. And when they leave, it becomes the opposite. Like the kids kind of like get away and they're not as close to you as they, otherwise would have been. But you still, a lot of the times, moms, they still feel that strong connection, of course, and they just want them to kind of be around. And I could definitely sense that from Cynthia.
Right. You know someone who I don't really sense that from?
Who?
Kandi Burruss. I feel like she was like, all right, girl, you're going to law school. You're going to NYU. Go on. You could tell she's going to miss her daughter, Riley, but she also has her hands full at home. This is how I want to transition into this next part of the episode because Kandi's busy, right?
She is the epitome of busy. I feel like Kandi's probably had her moments. Like Kandi is an emotional person, right? I felt like Kandi probably had her moment, but off camera. I'm sure. I'm definitely sure.
Okay, that would make sense too, because you could see where she gets emotional, but she's also strong.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. But you see she's busy. She's talking about filming for YouTube again. Instagram TV Live, IGTV.
Right.
She has her music. She has her businesses. Her kids have their businesses. Her other kid is going to school, law school. Her husband's doing I don't even know what. And then her other kid is now entering the entertainment business, Ace. So she does have her hands full.
She's inspiring to me.
Yeah, I think so too. And what else is inspiring to me is the fact that she started this Kandi Cares kind of give back charity situation back in 2014, but definitely came handy in 2020 for COVID. I just am never surprised by what she's doing. She's kind of hit every single industry. And going back to this charity, she's talking about how she wants to give back to families in her community, but can only give back to 750 families because of social distancing. In my head, I'm thinking 750 families. That's a lot of families.
I was thinking the same thing. I was like, 750 is good, dear. It's good. It's good.
She's like, that's not enough. It's like, no, you're doing your part for sure. Like, it just makes you super proud of Kandi. It makes you watch a housewife who's doing something, not just stirring the pot all the time.
Yes.
Like we get to see some good come from them. And that's what I enjoy about Kandi.
It's still entertaining. How does she do that? I mean, it's still entertaining. She's amazing.
Yeah, I think it's because she's had this platform for so long. Like, not just this platform, but she's been a part of the industry for so long. Mm-hmm. So I think she's more well-versed with dealing with different situations and how to keep herself relevant. And also, at this point in her career, how to give back too.
Right.
So, but I do want to point out the fact, if I had, and I'm not trying to get anybody fired, but if that was my makeup artist when she was talking about, her ex in did you hear that?
I saw and heard it.
The makeup artist chiming in, I would have been like, you better be quiet before you don't have a job.
I couldn't tell if that was the makeup artist or not, but whoever it was, that whatever what she was talking was not even needed or wanted. I was just like, child, calm down.
Yeah, because so guys, for any of you who missed the episode, again, I always say this, go ahead and hit that like button, show some love. But if you guys missed the episode, Kandi is talking about her ex, which is Riley's dad, and not paying child support.
Right.
So she talks to the attorney and he owes about $90,000 in back child support. And now her daughter is kind of pulling the trigger on this whole, let's move forward and get this money back. So Kandi doesn't want the money for herself, but she was kind of asking, how can I give the money to Riley? And the lawyer suggested a trust. Let's set up a trust for your daughter. Kandi was like, okay, give the money to her pretty much.
Right.
The lawyer said that they have to look into the last 5 years of his income to see if in fact he was able to pay this money or what the case was. But for Kandi, she's like, listen, at one point he was a millionaire. Kandi is still a millionaire and she supports her kids. But at one point this man was too. Just because Kandi is a millionaire does not mean that she's the only one who should be supporting her kid, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, so this is where the makeup artist or whoever this was got really annoying. She was like, girl, you're going to go knock on his door now all of a sudden when you have millions of dollars. You're not going to get no money. And Kandi's like, what do you mean? And then she's like, you're going to wait till your daughter turns 18 and they go knocking on the door asking for money. And then they all started laughing, making fun of Kandi. And you could see Kandi's face was like, I'm playing with you. But as soon as this camera's off.
That's the I don't know this lady, but those are the people that you have to watch when you become successful.
Why? Why do you say that?
Because it's just like, I just feel like, didn't you hear what Kandi said? Didn't you hear the conversation? It's not like she wants the money, and it's not like she, made Riley by herself. Like, how can that not make sense to you? Yes, she's 18, but it only makes sense for him to pay what he's due, like what he owes.
Right.
So I don't understand how you wouldn't get that. But like those making that comment, I'm wonder what else she's thinking about Candy's situation.
Yeah, well, I think that it's easy for people to come in and they haven't been on Candy's journey. They haven't seen how hard she's worked her whole life. They see this big, bougie, beautiful home.
Right.
They hear her talk about how she makes millions. Okay. And they probably live in a lot less fortunate of a situation, right? A lot more middle class, like most of us.
Right.
And they can't relate to her. So they probably just think, you have all of this money and you're asking for more money. Like, pretty much, girl, bye, get out of my face. But for Candy, again, like I'm saying, it takes two people to make a kid.
Right.
I totally agree with her in the fact that he should pay up. And she's not even, like you said, the one who wants the money.
Right.
And, no, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, yeah, exactly. I mean, I just feel like, honey, what else are you saying? You know what I'm saying? If you said that and you don't get my reasoning behind what I just said, what else are you saying, honey? Like,
yeah, and I feel like this could be one of those people, and I don't want to speculate, but this could be one of those makeup artists or one of those people who are on your team that if they're so easy to vocalize their feelings and thoughts in that moment, that those are the people then when you have to let them go, they run straight to the blogs and they're like, this person is trash.
Yes.
Working for her was a nightmare.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
Yes, Adam. Yes, you got it. That's exactly what I sensed from her.
Okay. All right. So moving on really quick before we get to Cynthia, well, not Cynthia, but Candy's event. Cynthia ended up meeting up with Porsha, and Porsha has a lot on her mind. So we know that Porsha has been involved in a lot of the activism work, which is amazing. She's put herself on the front lines of the BLM movement, and that was pretty much the main part of her storyline up until now. Now they're starting to incorporate a little bit more of Dennis. Right. And Dennis is obviously the father of Porsha's daughter, PJ Pilar.
Yes.
But Porsha was cheated on when she was pregnant. Porsha has this animosity inside of her towards Dennis because in a moment in Porsha's life where she was vulnerable and she's pregnant and probably not feeling her cutest and just, I don't even know what it would feel like to be a pregnant woman, but I'm sure that her emotions were all over the place. You go out and cheat on this woman, right? And then you want everything to be okay and you want to kind of pull it back in now that she has her body snatched back up and she is doing her best. She's a great mom. She's out here making a ton of money. Now you want to jump back on the bandwagon and everything be good again. And for Porsha, she's like, I can't do this. It's already messy enough outside out there in the world. I'm not going to have it be messy in my house. Right. And she talks to Cynthia about how she snapped on him. She asked him one day for a bottle from upstairs. And she said, hey, can you get little PJ a bottle? And he went downstairs and it took him about 20 minutes to get this bottle. So she's holding her daughter and screaming at Dennis, ripping his head off. And she realized that's the moment that this is no longer conducive to a healthy environment for me and my daughter.
Yeah, I commend Porsha on being so self-aware, first of all. She's so self-aware. She's so compassionate, too, at the same time. It's just like, if you cheat, expect for it to be some sort of some underlying tension still. Expect for it to be some sort of resentment still. This is why you have to go through counseling. Some people, once you cheat, they're out completely. It doesn't seem like Porsha is out completely, but it does seem like she's upset with him, and there needs to be some things laid out on the table. But I could totally understand where she's coming from. It's not misplaced, but the fact that she's aware enough to say, oh, it's kind of getting out of hand, especially when I'm doing it in front of the baby, that's commendable to me. Because some people, they'll just do that in front of their kids and they don't care how it affects the kids. Things like that can affect kids even that young. You have to really be careful, so I don't know.
Did you ever have any friends growing up where their parents would go back and forth and like scream, fight, throw things in front of them?
My parents did.
I was about to say my parents. I mean, sometimes like I just I guess I've never really been around a family though that hasn't had its big fights and stuff in front of kids. Like I've never had really friends around who I've gone over to their house and their parents were just like perfect and not bickering or fighting and not having that moment of weakness, as silly as that sounds.
Yeah, I know. It's just like, but especially like when it's one thing to be like, past the age of 7, 8, but it's another thing to be like a toddler, a baby. It's just like you don't want that energy on that toddler or baby, and not even past that stage either. But I'm just saying, like, especially at that stage, you know what I'm saying? Because the babies, they can sense that, they'll start crying, and it's just not good. But yeah, I mean, honestly, like if I would try to be that parent to try to always, if I had an issue with my partner, to go somewhere else, to go to a different room or something like that, and to not argue or have fights in front of the kids. I would be that parent.
I would just start sending. The kids would be right in the middle of the living room, and I would start sending rage texts. It'd be like, wait until they go to bed,
or something like that. But yeah, I would definitely try to stray away from ever letting my kids see that, because it's just I know how I felt when I saw and heard that from my parents, and I just wouldn't want that. I wouldn't want that for my kids.
No, that makes sense. That makes sense. And before we move on to Kenya's event, I just wanted to kind of point out also, when I was working in West Hollywood and in Los Angeles, I was around a few times. The housewives would come in and film, or it'd be different reality shows, especially because it's LA and they're always looking for new venues that they're allowed to film in, because they're not allowed to film in every single restaurant. They have to get special permission, right? So I always knew, because there were producers on standby right next to the tables and around the tables, I would always know when I could go to the table and when I couldn't go to the table. But in this example, this waitress was popping up every single time at the wrong time. She did it twice, probably 3 times that we didn't get to see. But Cynthia's like, girl, I'm going to need you to go away for a minute and not come back to this table while I ask the hard questions. And I just thought that was so funny, because the waitress was just, I think she was probably just happy. She's like, I'm on Real Housewives of Atlanta.
They've gotten to that point where when they go to these restaurants, obviously people know who they are. And I'm pretty sure the waiters, they get excited and they're like, oh my gosh, like I get to be in this scene. So that was kind of cute for me. I know it might've been a little annoying for Cynthia, but to me that was cute, because it showed, like I said, they're at that stage at this point in the show where they have fans out and about, and when they go to these places, some of them are, the waiters and stuff, they're fans too, and they want to be involved,
especially in their home city.
Exactly. So I thought that was cute. That was a cute scene.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. All right, so moving on to Candy's event. Candy has her Candy Cares event, and Porsha donated $5,000.
Yes.
Marlo donated $5,000.
Yes.
Drew Sidora donated. I don't know how much, but she donated. And then there were a few that didn't. Candy pointed out the fact that she was surprised that some of the girls did not donate, but she said that it's never right to shame someone for not giving back to charity. You have to kind of just appreciate the fact that they showed up, but you would be just shocked to know that they didn't contribute financially when they're a lot more blessed than some of the other people that are pulling through as a part of the 750 families. Who do you think she was talking about in that moment?
I'm assuming Kenya probably didn't donate.
I'm thinking it was Kenya too, because I feel like she would have said that. If Kenya would have given back, I feel like she would have pointed it out right away. Should have been like, Porsha gave back, Marlo gave back, Drew gave back, and Kenya gave back.
Right.
Cynthia, where are you? But it wasn't anything like that. It was just kind of alluding to, I think Kenya probably is the one who didn't whip out a check.
Yeah, I think so too. It's just like, before you made the comment of, the ladies are, better off than most, I was thinking to myself, it's just as helpful to be there, to show up, to interact with people, and to help the cause. That counts for something too. But yeah, you're right. These ladies are a lot more blessed than a lot of us. So maybe she should have donated something.
Okay. Well, Janice Froman said, but Kenya had been accused before about not donating to charity events that she has attended. And then also Sisters Talk TV said it's sad, and Don Juan mentioned that. Okay. I don't know when he mentioned that, but we'll have to refer back and see. But I did want to also point out the fact that Porsha, unlike Cynthia's engagement party, Porsha was the first one to show up to the candy event, and Kenya came right behind her with that shade of, oh, of course, she's late to an event that I'm throwing, but when it comes to a charity event and a photo op, she's going to be front and center. It's like Kenya likes to pick and prod. I know you guys are going to comment and say you're picking on Kenya. I'm not picking on Kenya. I'm just simply recapping what we saw. And she does. She likes to pick, and she knows, obviously, Porsha has dragged her on the reunion floor before. She knows the more that she picks and prods at Porsha, she's going to eventually get a reaction.
Right. It definitely seemed like she was on Porsha's neck. I mean, she was on Porsha's neck, and she was just going in, and I was just like, it made me confused. But I guess like the situation between Porsha and Kenya is deep, is really deep. That's what it seemed like. It seemed like
it has a lot of history.
Yeah, Kenya has like some resentment that's still there, and because she was ticked off by Porsha's sister, not inviting her to Porsha's event, and Porsha allowing it or whatever. I don't know. Kenya feels some type of way, and now she just has it out for Porsha again.
And she's just going to keep on.
Yeah, it's just like, it's kind of awkward.
Okay. Well, Porsha's talking about, when she's sitting there with Tanya and they're filling up these little bags with the fresh produce and doing what they do. Porsha's having a conversation with Tanya about how Dennis is invited to Cynthia's wedding. But Candy interjects and says, yeah, Dennis had the conversation with Todd too, and he said it's okay, he's okay to come, but Porsha better not have a date. And Porsha's like, how are you going to come to my friend's wedding and tell me I can't have a date? Who do you agree with in this scenario? And again, this goes back to the whole thing. You have to be careful who you invite. Just let Porsha come and have a date. Leave Dennis at home.
You're not going to tell me that if my fiance cheated on me, not only that, and I was pregnant, that I can't have a date to my friend's wedding. Excuse me?
Yeah.
You don't know what I'm dealing with in my mind. You don't know if Dennis is going to be my husband. Shut up.
Yeah, shut up. This almost goes back to your famous little meme video. I don't want to do that on here, but you know what I'm saying? People in the room know.
You got the table. You got the table.
I see. But I thought this was another moment that Kenya kind of interjected. She's like, less talking, more working. And then she's like, you know what, Porsha? I don't think it's that big of a deal because you and Dennis are so flip-floppy anyways. Like, you guys are all over the place that it's not even, I wouldn't even worry about it. It's not a big deal. Like, nobody cares. And Portia's just like, what? Like, this has nothing to do with you. And in my mind, I'm sitting here thinking, you better leave Porsha alone because Portia's vocal about what's going on with her and Dennis. She's keeping that as an open book, whereas Kenya's not talking about where Mr. Mark Daly is at the moment. So that's what you probably shouldn't do, especially because Portia's going to get to hear, you're going to keep pushing, and then she's probably going to snap and put out all of your dirty laundry.
Yeah, it's just like, don't throw stones in a glass house, right? It goes back to that old saying. Just like, don't. Because then it becomes hypocritical, and you wouldn't want nobody doing that to you.
Yeah, no, I agree. Sisters Talk TV said, either way, I felt that Porsha would have been okay if Cynthia invited him. Porsha just wanted to drag the issue. Okay, that's one way to look at it. I don't know if she wanted to drag the issue or if it actually is an issue. Again, I haven't had somebody who I'm co-parenting with cheat on me while I was pregnant, and I'm sure she has some sort of feelings about that.
That's devastating.
I don't know if that's dragging the issue. I feel like that's a real issue.
That's real. Okay, how about you get pregnant and you get cheated on by your fiance, and let's see what you say then. Yeah,
that wouldn't be. I mean, I don't wish that.
Like people always want to say stuff until it happens to them, and then they. Oh yeah, girl, we just told you.
Well, Kenya, Black Unicorn said Kenya is trying to bait Porsha into a confrontation because she's deep in the BLM movement. Kenya is very strategic. I honestly, I kind of feel the same way. Porsha can do no wrong even when she's not right, Vinny Flores said. It's so interesting because people really are so torn on Porsha. And I think it's because over the past few seasons on Real Housewives of Atlanta, we've seen her grow. We've seen her start off as like this really wholesome, good girl who had a husband. And then she started, turning into like this nightclub kind of girl. And she was all about having the big booty. And she called herself a thought. She called herself Tatiana. And and she loved it, and she wore like the more revealing clothes that she wasn't allowed to wear when she was with her husband. And then she's kind of formed into this businesswoman who's now formed into this activist who's also this great mother now. And I think that she's evolved, but people sometimes, and I'm not saying anybody in here, I think it's hard for people sometimes to leave those other versions of her in the past and not really respect the evolution of what is that person.
And that comes about in life, and you have to just continue to move forward, because there's some people that won't be able to move forward with the old versions of yourself. And that's fine. You have to find peace within that and let people do them. Because if you pick apart their life, it wouldn't be so hunky-dory either.
Right. Okay. Well, before we end off on Candy's event, we did see that Cynthia didn't get to show up because she was getting her marriage license. I know that you are a fairly new Real Housewives of Atlanta viewer. Yes. Guys, if you haven't already, go ahead, hit that like button. Let's get more eyes. But Cynthia got her marriage license on September 11th, and she made the joke, "I am not letting it out of my hands." Did you see what happened at her last wedding? Did you catch any of that?
Her last wedding?
Yeah. So at her last wedding, her mom and sister did not agree with her marrying Peter Thomas. They did not want her to marry this man. So when they had to go pick up the marriage license, they held it actually at the wedding, and they were debating on camera not giving it to Cynthia, almost stalling the wedding because nobody could find the marriage license. And the mom and sister were like hiding it. Like, do we give it to her? Do we not? Which could have ruined the whole wedding. Now Cynthia has her marriage license, and she's like, nobody is touching this freaking thing.
Are you serious?
Yeah, they didn't like him, but obviously their intuition was right. She's not with him anymore.
Yeah, but still, I mean, she's an adult. You don't have the marriage license.
I mean, yeah, I agree with you.
Like, I mean, first of all, that's stealing. And then second of all, it's just like, she's grown. Oh my God.
Okay. So now going back over to the Candy Cares event, Kenya proposes to the women when they finally get to sit down and have a break. She proposes that they have a little group getaway, which is obviously famous in all of the housewife franchises. They all get a getaway. But this year, it's going to be a little bit less than. It's not going to be that fun Greece trip, or we're going to Australia, or we're going to Africa, or we're going to Hawaii because of COVID. Right. So they have to find somewhere kind of close where they can still socially distance, but not get on a plane or fly commercial or do anything like that.
Right.
So when Kenya's proposing this event, or not event, but getaway, the women are like, okay, well, we need somewhere we can drive to. And then Porsha comes out and says, you know what? Fallon, who was here a little bit earlier, she said Fallon has a private jet. And Kenya says, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to drive. Then come to find out in the preview, Kenya and LaToya Ali are taking a private jet after sticking the rest of the women on a bus.
Yeah.
Tell me that's not some double standard.
I don't get it. I don't understand it.
I can't wait. I actually have Fallon joining me later this week. So
you do?
Yes, I do. And I can't wait to just pick her brain and talk to her about this, because I'm sure she has some insight. And also Fallon isn't contractually obligated the same way that the housewives are.
Right.
He came in to film, but she doesn't have that hardcore NDA housewives contract because she's not getting paid like that. So I can't wait to just pick her brain and see what her experience was with filming.
I wish she was on. I wish she could fill in one of the slots that one of the other people I'm thinking of. Please tell her I said hi. I love her.
So no, but I mean, honestly, and I don't want to be shady or anything, but I like that we get to see the dynamic of Drew Sidora's marriage and everything that's going on with her. But if we don't see more from Drew Sidora the rest of the season, she's not going to be back.
Yeah, I mean, like, love Drew. Obviously,
Yeah, me too.
Obviously, I love Drew. So I think she's like one of my favorites. But she's given me, I've been on Housewives for 12 seasons vibes. Like, girl, you gotta get into the cast, girl. You gotta be amongst the cast. She's giving me, I've been a Peachota for 12 years, child, and I'm just chilling. No, you gotta get in there. You gotta get in there. Because if not, they'll get you out of there, honey. And I want to see you again for next season.
I don't know. We know that they're doing this, what they're calling an epic girls trip, and we know that's coming up. We know Drew Sidora joins them, and we know this is where this season is now about to get famous for the stripper gate. Hopefully she jumps in somehow here, but it was interesting because Kenya said that, and this looks so kind of silly at the end, where they have her sitting there and she has this kind of like cigarette, and she's like, there's not enough holy water or sage to erase what went down in that house. And it's like, okay. But what the rumor was that Tanya and Porsha hooked up with this male stripper. The male stripper denied it. Tanya quit the Real Housewives of Atlanta because of it. And Portia's like, that didn't happen. But now Kenya's the one who started this rumor. She owns starting this rumor. And she said Tanya and Porsha hooked up and potentially had a three-way with this stripper.
It's like, how do we know? It's just like trying to prove something in court. You're gonna have to have proof. You're gonna have to have substantial proof before you accuse people of doing something like that. Especially, this is not something that is small. Tanya, she's married, right?
Right.
Tanya's married.
Well, she's not technically married, but she's been engaged for like she's
on her way.
It's like she's married. Yeah.
She's on her way. Like,
she has a man.
Like, these people have reputations. You just can't say something and not have substantial proof. Now, if you have proof, show us the receipts.
No, I agree with you.
Before you make an accusation publicly. You know what I'm saying?
Keisha Miller said, Candy said it all goes downhill from here. Drew comes at someone saying, I'm from Chicago, probably at Kenya or LaToya. Yeah, because Kenya and LaToya are troublemakers. And again, I'm not throwing shade at Kenya, but Kenya and LaToya have that same kind of idea of, okay, who are we going to mess with? They knew flying private was going to make all of the women mad. They know what they're doing, and they're very kind of calculated in that way, especially for us being Bravo super fans or viewers. We can see and read right through it. Reality TV, it's pretty easy to kind of see what people are trying to do when you're watching one of these shows. Like, especially you feel that way about Potomac. I feel that way about Atlanta, Beverly Hills, Orange County, New York, New Jersey, all of them. Yeah. But I guess, we'll have to wait and see what happens. Maybe this is Drew's moment where she gets in and she's had enough with Kenya and LaToya picking at her. Remember, they said that she had a pet on her head talking about her wig at one point. And I'm sure that they sit there and pry into her business. LaToya also threw shade at Fallon at Porsha's event celebrating her for being an activist, saying, oh, girl, you look like the type of girl who would marry a rich older guy or something like that. So she knows what she's doing. Again, I guess we're just going to have to wait and see how it plays out.
I just think that Kenya likes to do all the shenanigans to cause a tizzy. And I can see right through it. Like, it's so evident.
It secures her spot.
Right, and she's a slickster. She's sly, from my observation, and it just makes for good TV. I just wish. I don't know if it's authentically who she is. I just think like it's like a show for her, just like how it was like on Apprentice. It was very much just a show for her. It's in the context. She does it in the context of a show, like a game. It's just a game.
Right. Someone said, born to win. You throw your shade and say, I don't have a fave, or I'm not shading her, but you are. Adam, you are full of BS. I just want to defend that really quick. I'm not throwing shade. I'm really not throwing shade. This isn't shade. This is what we see on TV. I'm not making it up. I didn't tell Kenya to go get a private jet with LaToya Ali after telling the rest of the women to not invite Fallon because she had a private jet and they didn't want to do that. I didn't do that. I didn't shade Porsha for being an activist and putting herself on the front lines. I didn't do that. Kenya did that. So these are things that we're seeing on TV, and we're just simply talking about them. It's not. you have to know these people personally to really want to shade them. I don't know them personally. So that goes for most of the housewives. Not all of the housewives. I know some of them, but the Atlanta ones, only Cynthia, and I'm not shading Cynthia. So with that being said, RJ, 45 minutes in, guys, if you haven't already, go ahead, hit that like button.
Please.
Adam does not serve shade at all. Now, oh, LOL, now is man. Oh, they're talking about Jason. Preach, Adam. Okay, thanks. RJ, thank you so much again for joining me. It's always been a pleasure.
We're done?
We're done.
No!
We recapped it.
Oh, no!
Yeah, we recapped the Real Housewives of Atlanta this episode, and don't worry, it's about to get even better next episode because this is where they fly private. This is where we're going to get to see a lot of the drama unfold, so just brace yourself.
As you can see, like, I'm getting way more comfortable now. I think this is the 6th episode in.
Is it? It might be the 6th, yeah.
6th episode in.
Yeah.
Now you see me. You see my comfortability level now.
Yeah.
Like this is fun. I felt like we were just kind of like warming up, but okay. Yes. The next episode, we have a lot to look forward to.
We almost hit our hour.
Yes. Oh, it's true.
I mean, it goes by. It's seriously especially when you get to know all of the women and know what the storylines are, it just rolls off the tongue and just goes.
Right. Exactly. I'm very excited for the next episode.
All right. Well, and guys, if you're also around, Theo said Jason stays being a little shady and I loves it. Guys, we will be going on in 10 minutes now with Jason to recap Below Deck, which has the highest ratings for any season of Below Deck ever, and now has surpassed Real Housewives, which is insane to me. And also, we're bringing on Femtero. So if you guys want to call in the last 30 minutes of that recap, Femtero is going to be joining us. You can call in and ask a question about your finances, your health, love, anything like that. Listen, I used to be so skeptical about stuff like this until she told me or predicted a lot of things that were going to happen over the past few months, and they did. So now I fully just trust and believe in the process. Guys, if you want to call in, I will drop the link and you are more than welcome to. RJ, before we go, can you please tell us where we can find you?
Yes, guys, you can find me on Instagram at RJ.Allan, like you see here. And you can find me on YouTube at RJ.Allan, without the dot, of course. So RJ.Allan.
Yep. And it's also in my community tab, guys, for this video. So you guys can go check out RJ's YouTube. He's growing, and we will be right back in 10 minutes.
Yes.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.